What's up, guys? I am live with you now. Thank you for the extra 5 minutes here. I was working on getting my actual camera thing here to work, and for some reason Facebook is saying that the content only exists on my mobile phone. So we are here, and I'm here to answer questions from you guys. I'm going to be looking down at my keyboard occasionally because I'm here with you on the phone, and that's going to let me look at the actual Facebook page itself so I can see what's going on with our comment threads. So I'm super happy to be able to share this with you now. I'm also going to be coordinating with my team here because it looks like I may be having some tech issues. Let's see. Just going to pause this. All right, if you guys are seeing this, somebody send me a comment. As far as I know, I could be talking to an empty room. Pretty sure there's an empty room. Facebook. It says this content isn't available right now. I'm going in on the desktop version and we'll see what's going on here. Yeah, I got no comments at all. Okay, I'm seeing it on live on the page, but I can see no comments from you guys on my phone. Gotta love it. All right, I'm seeing all the comments now. So as long as I use my phone and I look at myself on my screen, Facebook, dudes, you think for all that billions of dollars we'd be able to make this work? But literally there's no comments on my phone whatsoever. There we go. Now I can see it. I'm just gonna talk to you guys. I'll be looking up here and looking down here. It's gonna be a bit odd, but when I try to stream live from my desktop, it says this content doesn't exist. Whatever. All right, here we go. Hey, Mark, good to hear from you. Patty, what's the time frame for wearing true dark glasses before bed? All right, here's the deal on that. If you really are having a hard time sleeping, 2 hours before bed, you put them on and you are gonna feel it. So these are the hardest core of the hardcore glasses. You put these guys on, you look like Cyclops. These are the jet lag. They seal around the edges. No light gets in. The very darkest color. Everything is, you're colorblind basically. But the SCN in your brain is like, all right, we got this. Especially combine this with a baseball hat and bright airports. You're gonna sleep. You'll get to the airport and it's going to work. So that said, sometimes a half hour, sometimes 45 minutes, and you'll pretty much tell. I know if I do about 45 minutes, my deep sleep goes up pretty dramatically. And for me, doubling my deep sleep has occurred because of changes in light. I also do things like the light bulbs from TrueDark. When I stay up late to write on my book, I was up till 6 a.m. 2 weeks ago. Terrible, except every light in here above me is off, and the red ones that are on the ceiling get turned on, and my screens are all red. And then I actually go to sleep, and I stay asleep for 6 or 8 hours, and I wake up, I'm feeling refreshed, and I can move my circadian window by like 6 hours in a day or two, so I'm not feeling jet lagged. All right, Jason, you sleep on a slope without a pillow on your back. What does the research say about sleeping without a pillow? I love this question, and if you're on a slope, that's good. So you guys may have already seen the video, seen some of my posts, or read one of my books where I talk about elevating the head of your bed 6 inches. And this is a really powerful technique that has amazing research behind it. It's just no one talks about it. It's a one-time thing. You put a brick or two under the head of your bed. Like, how hard is it? And you get used to it. But there's other research that I experimented with quite a bit that was around how did native people across the world sleep, or indigenous peoples, or even how did we sleep when we were, or wherever indigenous people, whoever you identify with, were from. We're all pretty much mixes now. And it turns out ancient humans of all flavors always slept with our head uphill, which is part of that, but they also slept without a soft surface. And we have this thing called proprioception, which is our body's sense of where it is in space. That's probably affected by being on a super smushy thing. It's so light as air, you can't feel it. It's probably not good for you. Also, your lymphatic and your glymphatic system. Lymphatic pumps lymph, the waste systems in your tissues. And your glymphatic pumps cerebral spinal fluid out of the brain. Think about it like this. Okay, you're laying down, you're on your side, and you go. Now, there's a big pump happening like this. It goes like that. But if you're on a a soft surface, the surface absorbs it and plays it back. If you're on a hard surface, you're actually going to be moving your cerebrospinal fluid more. So I slept for about 3 months on a very hard 1-inch closed cell foam surface without a pillow, because that's how cavemen slept. And it took a long time to get used to it. So you kind of put your arm here and you do this. I did get used to it. I didn't find it preferable, but on your back without a pillow, if it works for you, you don't have scoliosis, it probably works. You might look at what Japan does traditionally. There's a little block to raise your head a little bit. But the research says sleep without a pillow is probably a good thing, but sleeping on your back, unless you have something to keep your jaw from falling back, probably is not a good thing. And there's various things you can do about that. Kind of a long answer, but I think it's interesting for all of us interested in sleep. So think about it, is your mattress too soft? I think harder is better unless it hurts. And if it hurts, give yourself 6 weeks. Everyone I know who's switched to a very hard mattress over time feels better, but first you feel worse. And then there's mattresses that move the way your body moves, and some of them are pretty expensive. Like one of the partners here on the lunch, a guy who spoke at the Bulletproof conference or the biohacking conference, Klaus from Samina. These are beds that have no metal in them whatsoever, and they're designed to move like vertebra. I have a bed like that. I love sleeping on it, and I sleep on it some of the time, and I sleep on a very hard surface some of the time as well, and I actually mix it up. Sometimes if I'm sleep hacking, I'll say goodnight to Lana and the kids, and I'll sleep in my little sleep lab because, I'm kind of a geek that way. But there's a discount code for Samina on here, and Jordan or someone from my team is going to post that, I'm sure. All right. Next up, REM versus deep sleep from Carolyn Elizabeth. Optimal levels to aim for and the difference between these two different types. There's a whole chapter on this in Headstrong and one in Superhuman. So Headstrong is how do you make your brain work better? How do you have more energy? And then Superhuman is how do you live to 180? But basically during deep sleep is when the systems restoration of the body happens, is when the cells in your brain shrink, dump out their liquid, and it gets replaced with fresh stuff, and you pump out the old stuff. And this is when growth hormones release, and it's really important. I like to see at least an hour and a half of that, and ideally 2 hours. And for REM sleep, REM is when dreaming happens, and there's memory consolidation that happens there, as well as some of the repair systems called the glial cells in the brain. They come in and they essentially rewire, restructure, and prune your neurons. They're the immune system and kind of the soldiers of the brain. So the neurons are doing the thinking, but the support system is the glial cells. And you want to have, same thing, an hour and a half to 2 hours of REM. And if you're doing a lot of emotional work, you're seeing a therapist or doing lots of yoga and breathing, you may have more dreams and things like that. Likewise, if you have more toxin exposure or you're getting sick, you may actually have more fear dreams and bizarre, weird nightmares that are technically REM, but probably aren't that good for you. For me, the thing that's raised REM the most is what happens when you raise BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. What the heck is that, Dave? Well, it's a compound that young people have more of that allows your brain to be more plastic. So I think you get better dreaming when you have higher levels of BDNF. The compound that's worked the best for me is the Life Cycle lion's mane mushroom extract. And Life Cycle uses an Australian species that's extracted with hot water and with alcohol simultaneously, and it's a dropper. And that has blown me away. I know how to raise BDNF. It's a big part of one of my books, but normal lion's mane powder and extract and lion's mane coffee additives don't do anything for it as far as I can tell. But this Australian version that is a liquid with a kind of an alcohol flavor to it, that stuff is magic. I take that before bed, 2 or 3 times more REM. It's very predictable. There's other compounds that'll raise BDNF, like the thing I put together for Bulletproof called Neuromaster. But it has caffeine because it comes from the coffee fruit, not from coffee beans. And you don't want to take that before bed for obvious reasons. All right, let's see. There's some more questions here. Let's see what's a good one. Here's one. Carol, do I recommend sleep mode and magnesium that I recommended, or just one or the other? You love sleep mode, but in the middle of the night you wake up and can't turn off your brain. From Carol Anderson. So thank you for asking, Carol. Definitely magnesium and sleep mode together. And I would ask you, if you can put it in the comments there, do you wake up more when you take sleep mode? My guess is you wake up in the middle of the night anyway and you're trying to solve that problem. And One of the videos that you guys are going to get, and I apologize that I don't have stored in my head which one you got this morning because I recorded all of them for you. But so I can log in and do that. If you've seen, I've been posting and monitoring your comments throughout the day between meetings as much as I can. So what you're going to find when you're looking at, actually your question just scrolled through here. Oh, interesting. So thank you, Facebook, for not letting me scroll back to this question. I see all these really good questions, and I can see 4 at a time. Come on. I just lost my question there. I am so sorry about that. It's moving too fast. Here we go. There has to be a way to see all the comments. Oh, here we go. Top comments, 106 comments. Much better. I'm just going to have to go to the next question because it's only showing me 6 at a time, and I don't know what's going on with this thing. All right. People are saying, what time does the live start? But they're already started, and I can't scroll up anymore. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. And I'll get back to your magnesium and sleep mode question. There we go. Now I can see all the questions on here. There we go. So if you're waking up after you take sleep mode, you can try a couple sleep modes as recommended. You can take more if it helps. The way sleep mode is working is it has a little bit of plant-based melatonin, and it has ornithine, which is a special amino acid that removes ammonia. And most people have gut bacteria. They're eating too much protein or their gut doesn't work very well. So when that happens, you get ammonia, and ammonia makes you feel anxious, and then it turns that off. That's one of the reasons it's kind of a good thing. The other thing, though, that's happening when you take magnesium is that your magnesium helps you relax. But you wouldn't know this unless you've read and you noticed this in one of my books. There is a circadian rhythm to magnesium. It turns out you need it to make energy. It's highest at noon. So what I recommend doing is taking a mixed form magnesium, like the mixed form from Bioptimizers, who I think we have a code for you guys on there too. I got as many discounts as I could. There's also, I take that at night. In the morning, I take magnesium threonate, which is one that goes into the brain the most. Some people take threonate at night, but there's an argument for taking half in the morning and half at night. One of the arguments being so you don't get disaster pants, because too much magnesium kind of does that to you. So those two, if you're still waking up late at night, you have a blood sugar regulation issue most likely, or possibly either a noise issue and your app will pick that up, or you could possibly have an EMF issue. If it happens exactly at 2:07 a.m. and without any variation, surprisingly, there can be a power grid shutover that creates a wave. And in that case, you're gonna have to do something different, whether it's with grounding or EMF mitigation strategies. I've seen electrical filters or moving the bed solve that problem, which is kind of weird. But that's kind of how I would think about it. If it's an energy problem, there's a video for you that talks about using collagen, which is one pathway, MCTs or brain octane from the bulletproof stuff I make, which is another pathway, or possibly raw honey, which is a third pathway, and that's stuff you guys will be learning. So, all right, I've got 47 comments now, which is great. And I'm scrolling down. Some people I think are in, some people aren't in. I'm gonna keep going down. Okay, there's some questions about the sleep app. I've asked, this is called Sleep Space. I've asked Dan Gartenberg, who's the sleep scientist who's been on Bulletproof Radio. You should listen to that episode. It's really good. My team will post a link for you. Dan is very well studied. He actually validated the Aura Ring algorithm. And if you are in a position where you can get an Aura Ring, this is what the NBA is using. This is the best, highest return on investment sleep and wellness tech that you can get right now in terms of just knowing what's going on. Not just because it gives you really good physiological sleep measurements, it plugs in with Sleep Space, and Sleep Space can actually reinterpret this data more accurately to be more clinical grade. But this also gives you heart rate variability. But for a lot of times, either you don't have a ring, it's not charged. By the way, I need to charge my ring so I can give you guys some data for tonight, and things like that. So then you want an app, and there's the monitoring side. Any phone-based device is going to give you something. You can look at noise, you can look at your movement, and you can infer some things from that. And the correlation with your ring isn't going to be crazy accurate, and that's because the ring is getting really good physiological data. But you can use what you're getting from the app to triangulate what's going on this day, change over time matters. The reason that Sleep Space is the one I recommended for you is he was willing to make it available for the sleep challenge for you. But more importantly, if you look at the go to sleep tones and the tones in the middle of the night, and you look at the ability to turn on deep sleep and turn on REM sleep, there are direct interventions that are in Sleep Space that aren't available in any other app. And those are really good. So if you look at the 528 hertz tone that he has in the app, you'll find, try that at night, or try one of the different forms of pink noise and turn on the REM sleep or the deep sleep. And if you have an Apple Watch, and you're willing to sleep with some EMFs for the experiment, you'll find you can really ramp up things. So it's the only app that I know of that lets you transform the quality of your sleep, or say I want to dial up this or dial down this. So I'm pretty darn impressed with that stuff. All right, I'm looking at other questions in here. Some people, it looks like they aren't getting it. And other people are saying I've been on for 13 minutes, and some people didn't get a notification. Sorry, Teresa, Facebook's notification stuff is bizarre. And I don't control Facebook. I would love to control Facebook. If you're listening, Mark Zuckerberg, what do I mean if? He listens to everything, right? Anyway, I'm scrolling to find some more questions for you. Please post when he's live. Okay, so you guys really can see this. And I'm looking down for more comments. So you guys are going to have to just deal with me while I read this because I'm not able to do these things together. Okay, here we go. Tiff Jones, is a pulse oxygen reader necessary? You know, you don't need a pulse oxygen reader for sleep. If you wake up and you're at 99%, or maybe 98%, that's a really good sign that your breathing is good. You wake up at 96, 97, you probably have, you might want to try sleeping on your side. You might want to try some of the other techniques that you're learning over this 2-week period. And one of the most intriguing one that I actually do is I tape my mouth shut at night. And the reason I do that is it makes my wife beat me less. So it's so much easier. It turns out that breathing through your nose is really good for you at night. You can't snore, at least you almost can't snore if your mouth is taped shut. And you're like, oh my God, I would die, I'd be claustrophobic. Listen to the episode of Bulletproof Radio with Philip McCowan from the Buteyko Clinic, Buteyko, and my team is going to post a link for you there. We talk in detail about how breathing through your nose changes things. It actually increases oxygen in the brain. It's a very noticeable thing. So if you have a problem with apnea and you're using CPAP, don't do it. And if you have a really strong cold, don't do it. But basically you feel for 5 minutes like, oh my God, I can't breathe. And your body says, oh, I guess you should breathe through the nose. It'll actually calm the nose down. And then, you actually have full breathability and your sleep score will probably go up. And if you want to do that, listen to that interview with Philip first. Don't just take duct tape and put it on your face. It smells bad. But that's one thing you could do. Eric says, since you've been getting Bulletproof, you feel your mind races more in trying to sleep at night. Has that happened to anyone else? Most people who go Bulletproof find they need an hour less sleep at night. Okay, maybe most is an overstatement. I don't know. In my experience, many people, I don't know if it's more than half, but a lot of people are like, I used to need 9 hours, I need 8 hours, and I just wake up by myself and I feel great. So it could be that you're in your old amount of sleep and you don't need it. And if your mind races more, there's about 15% of people have genes that make them slow caffeine metabolizers. For most people, 2 p.m. as a cutoff for coffee is the deal. And you might need to try, okay, what if I stop my coffee at noon? Right? And you might be one of those people who says 1 cup in the morning and it just sticks with me and it breaks down very slowly and that's all I need. That's a likely thing. The other thing could be, and let's see, this is from Eric, and I'm guessing from your spelling, I can't see your picture very well on Facebook here. I'm guessing that you're a guy, and it happens to men, but it also happens more frequently to women. If you go into ketosis and you stay in ketosis and you don't follow the advice on having some carbs with dinner, that's probably what's going on, is your body says, oh, I need some carbs to clean my brain. You know how I'm gonna get carbs? I'm gonna get carbs through gluconeogenesis. What's the fastest way to do that? Let me just give you a squirt of cortisol and adrenaline. There we go. I broke down some muscle, and you're like, body, stop it. You just made me stay awake because I'm getting this surge of energy. And the answer to that is, you can try that raw honey trick before bed, just maybe 2 teaspoons of raw honey. And if you take some brain octane with it, the brain octane keeps ketones present. You're not talking about a lot of it. Honey turns into glycogen, which goes into your liver. And liver glycogen preferentially fuels the brain. So you're not trying to get a big old honey sugar bomb. You're not having a big dessert. You can also say, tonight at dinner, I'll have some rice or some sweet potato or some other form of carbohydrate that agrees with your body, but not a lot of it. And that's enough usually to blunt that stress spike if that's happening. So if it's happening, you want to see what's going on with that. All right, Zach, I love your question, man. To what extent is sleep chronotype nature versus nurture? And should we fight nature on weekends? Well, if you look at Dr. Michael Bruce's work, and he's been on my podcast before and is a sleep expert, he talks about the power of when. And in fact, that's the name of his book. What's interesting there is that if you go back to ancient time when we were cavemen and cave women, there were maybe 150 people in a tribe. And so we'd sleep in a circle of brush to protect ourselves from predators. And there's some very important jobs that you fill. Most people are hunting or gathering during the day. They work. Then there's some number of people, roughly 15%, they're the night shift. They stay up late in case there's tigers trying to eat you, and then they warn everyone and fight off the tigers. And then they get tired, they go to sleep. And then there's the early morning guard shift, and they wake up at 4 in the morning and they're ready to take over and protect everyone from early morning predators while people get ready for the day and while people sleep. And then you have the daytime people, and in case that doesn't work, you also need a backup alarm system set of people, and that's about 15% of the people as well. Those are the people who always sleep like crap, and they do that because their job is like a dolphin to have half their brain awake. So like, is the guard working? I'm just watching with one eye, and they're probably never good sleepers. And Michael Bruce did a great job of figuring out those categories. So if you're a late night person like I am biologically, that's about 15%. He calls them lions. And mornings, there's nighttime is wolf, morning is lion. The people who can't sleep very well are dolphins, and the rest of us, he calls them bears. So I'm actually one of those people where my chronotype is nighttime. I like to write, I like to do stuff, I get a lot of energy. There's something great after the sun goes down. And that can be really dysfunctional for some people, because if your job tells you to be to work at 6 a.m., it destroys your life, right? So can you fight it? And should you fight nature on weekends? There's great evidence that if you fall into a sleep pattern and then you change it dramatically on weekends, it's not good for you. There's also evidence you can catch up on sleep. So should you sleep in a little bit more on a weekend? Yeah, probably. Should you go to bed really late on weekends? No, but you have other requirements like a social life, like dating and things like that. So stay up a little bit. But if you say, it's a weekend, I'm staying out till 2 at a dance club every Friday and Saturday night, sleeping in, it is going to take its toll on you. That's why people stop doing it by the time they're 30 usually. And the ones who don't end up with pretty rough health. And that's just kind of how it is. That's how I go to Burning Man. I stay up all night for a week, but then I come back and I fix my circadian timing. So just don't do it all the time, Zach, would be my answer. And a little bit of extra sleep, you're better off to wake up at your normal time and then take a nap in the middle of the day than you are to just sleep in until noon, things like that. All right, other questions here. What time does the live start? Okay, I got that one. Let me scroll to the top of our list here and get some more questions for you. If these are helpful for you, let me know what's going on. Don't see a TV icon. Let me know what's going on with you. I'll just do a comment refresh here. $106 comments, good, they're coming in. How do you increase deep sleep from Kanako? So the best way to increase deep sleep happens in the first half of your night. So go to bed earlier. You're like, how can I go to bed earlier? I'm not tired. Look, if you're not tired, if you put on, wherever I put those glasses, if you put those things on, by the way, guys, I'm super cool. I sat on them, like I broke that half of them. So I'll have to get another pair. I have other colors and fashions, but if you're like, why do I look weird? It's because I sat on my glasses. If you put these things on for an hour or two before bed, you're going to be tired. We did studies at 40 Years of Zen with neuroscience and electrodes glued to your head. And what we found, most people in 15 minutes, you see shifts away from beta, which is that anxious state, into more of an alpha or even a theta state. So you can turn your brain down. You can take your melatonin a little bit earlier, take your sleep mode earlier, take your other sleep supplements. Don't watch TV shows with lots of explosions and excitement. Do a little bit of the sleep meditation or the sleep breathing. You're going to learn on this over the course of those 2 weeks. You can go to bed earlier. If you do that, you will get more deep sleep. It's a very noticeable difference. And if you take off the glasses, you wake up to pee, and turn on the lights, you have some blue LEDs in your room. I know it sounds like I'm the most anal retentive, annoying, like perfectionist. I'm actually very much a 80-20, not a perfectionist. I will tell you, any light in your sleep environment will really affect your sleep. How much? Well, a study from Japan, they actually show you, this is a study of 800 people, and the amount of light that they measured with a meter coming into the room from around curtains, in other words, a very low level of light, was enough to increase the incidence of depression by 69% in people. So literally, any light in your sleep is going to affect your deep sleep. You'll still sleep all night. You just don't go deep. Your body has to know, look, I'm in a cave. I'm safe. And it goes down. So that's how you do it. Go to bed earlier, light exposure. Those are the big things. We also have something, Carol Anderson says the fit overs are great. You're using them now. Thank you. Our lenses are not just red tinted lenses. They're actually layered optical filters, which makes it different from getting a red glass kind of thing, because it's different layers that do different things. There's very narrow bands that the mitochondria in the eyes are sensitive to, and that's why we were able to get protections on the technology for them. They work. Oh, there you go. Lena, if you put your Twilight glasses on your friends, if they're sleep deprived, they start yawning in 30 seconds. I love that. Oh man, here's a question. You're addicted to dark chocolate and you eat a ton of it. And Kanako, we are making True Dark glasses cuter, but let's talk about chocolate. Some people can eat chocolate right before bed and they totally sleep fine. You should measure it with a ring or with your app and see the difference. I can have a little bit of dark chocolate, a square or two, and it doesn't affect my sleep at all. It might even make it better. And there's some calming things from the theobromine in there, but there is also a little bit of caffeine. So it depends on whether you're a fast metabolizer or a normal metabolizer like me. And generally, you should stop your dark chocolate probably at dinner time. Most people can handle a little chocolate at dinner. It won't affect their sleep. My son, he's 11. You give him more than like half a square of dark chocolate, it affects his sleep, and he's cranky the next day. So it really makes a difference. Kathy, can you get prescription True Light glasses? We're working on them for you. Because they're optical filters, not a tint like all the other ways you'd expect to do it. It's challenging. We're very close for you. In the meantime, the fit overs are not Victoria's Secret approved. You're not going to want to probably wear them out. But if you're at home and you wear them, it'll make a huge difference. Rachel says that her husband Gabe, and she loved the glasses and they made a huge difference. Rachel's also been on the show. And she's like an expert at hacking your face. See how beautiful I am? Thanks, Rachel. All right, bulletproof chocolate with sea salt. I love that stuff too. All right, I'm looking for more comments here. There was a question that was in there. All right. You really want fit overs. Oh, there you go. I thought you said flowers there. Hey, Moksh, welcome. Drew Garrett, does bulletproof coffee start the circadian clock in the morning? This is actually a really important question for you guys. So if you're doing fasting, actually, let me back this up. This is coming from my next book. By the way, pretty soon you guys are going to get an announcement of my next book. It comes out in January. I'm getting really excited. I just sent it in. We're just doing the cover design today. It's going to be fun. It's new stuff too. But what's going on is... I got to remember to respond to what Kimberly just said, and can I keep my attention while I'm talking about one thing and another? Crap, I lost my thing. This is pretty challenging to answer one question and read things like this, so stop making me laugh already. I have no idea where I was going with that. You guys are going to have to excuse me trying to read and watch and talk. I'm going to go to David's question because I can't scroll and see all these things with the way Facebook is working right now. Thank you guys for commenting a lot, and it means as soon as I read one, it stops moving, and it's only showing me 4 at a time. So, next book, Sleep Reset and Breakfast, and Does Bulletproof Coffee Reset Your Circadian Rhythm? So yeah, I knew I'd remember. Smart drugs, right? So what's going on with that is the things that set your circadian rhythm, number one, overall, is light. And within light, there's three variables. And this is why the glasses, I'm sorry I keep talking about them. I did found the company, I did write the patents. I do believe in these things as much as I believe in bulletproof coffee. So if you're like, Dave, shut up. Sorry, I'm just gonna tell you. This is how and why it works. So if you look at the angle of the light, you look at the color of the light, and you look at the intensity of the light. Those are the three things that make a big difference for you. So within light, that matters. And those all control different melanopsin sensors in the eyes that talk to the SCN that control the centralized timing system of your body. But there are other variables that matter. One of them is temperature, and that's why Chili is a sleep partner here. And the company Chili, since they first came out, Todd Youngblood was on the show. I think I was the first person to ever promote their product. I don't know if you call it a promotion, but I at least mentioned it. And I'm like, hey guys, look, you can change your sleep temperature. I used to turn on my air conditioner. Like, this is cool. So turning down your temperature at night tells your body, oh, it's nighttime, chill, literally. And then turning it up in the morning says, oh, heat, it must be close to the morning, because that's the signals from the world. But those sensors are very small compared to the light sensors. That said, temperature does great things for improving sleep quality, but it's not just circadian signaling. But then there's energy availability. And this is magic, but as animals that are not nocturnal, our systems are wired to expect the peak of food to be at noon. And when you first have energy availability in the morning, it can be a signal of circadian timing. But no one knows this yet. Is it an insulin thing? Is it leptin? Is it ghrelin? It's probably insulin. We don't know for sure, but what we do know is that having energy available can accelerate the timing. So you do get the benefits of fasting when you drink bulletproof coffee. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. Frankly, a lot of it comes from people trying to sell something besides bulletproof. This idea of bulletproof intermittent fasting, people lost 1 million pounds on this. It works. And I've checked with guys like Sim Land, experts in autophagy, to figure out, okay, is it actually a fast? And unless you're giving your gut a rest from everything but water and weak tea or something, you're getting the metabolic benefits of fasting. But you can turn on, I believe, your circadian rhythm in the morning. And that's because there's several things that happen to wake you up in the morning. There's an increase in cortisol, which is natural and healthy. You actually need that morning increase in cortisol. It's so important that if you didn't have a spike in cortisol when you wake up, when you stand up, your blood pressure would be too low and you'd pass out, hit your head, you'd die, a tiger would eat you, it'd be terrible. So increased cortisol in the morning, normal and healthy. You also get an increase in acidity in the morning. Did you know that? It's actually a healthy increase in acidity. Alkalinity is not good, acidity is not bad. If you're hyperalkaline, you'll hate your life, and if you're hyperacid, you'll hate your life. Who would have known? And it fluctuates on a circadian basis. Coffee, when you drink it, is acidic. Oh no! Except it's the kind of acid like you would find in fruit that metabolizes to become alkaline. So you got these people saying, oh, our coffee is alkaline. It doesn't mean anything. What you want when you drink coffee in the morning is you get a burst of caffeine. It helps you with your cortisol and adrenaline, and magically it helps you with the first fruit acid kind of spike in acidity. And then over time it becomes alkaline. So alkalinity gives you endurance and acidity gives you energy. And this is why those same people say, oh, it's alkaline, like they can drink apple cider vinegar, but somehow that's not alkaline. It's just a misunderstanding of the metabolic processes in the body. So when you do bulletproof coffee in the morning, it's fascinating because it lines up. But here's when to drink your coffee in the morning. So in the morning, whether you're drinking bulletproof or not, whether you drink the bulletproof beans or not, I highly recommend doing the mold-free beans, but try it with, you put a little bit of brain octane, a little bit of butter, you can put tons in there depending on what your body needs. It's okay either way. What you're going to find is that if you bounce out of bed at 6 a.m., you're probably a bad person. Okay, just kidding. Hopefully we have some early risers here. It's just because that's your chronotype. You probably should wait an hour or maybe even 2 and then have your coffee, right? Because you already have this, right? And you're going to want the endurance that comes from it. And if you're one of those people who is a wolf and you're saying, I woke up and I really took 10 minutes before I really wanted to do anything. I just needed to get my head on straight. Have your coffee when you first wake up and you are going to feel magically much better. And will it affect your circadian window? Probably. It won't affect your timing window, but that spike in acidity plus the caffeine plus energy availability plus cortisol is going to be a signal that it's daytime and the lights are on. You should also have bright lights on at the same time. So kind of a long answer there. But Sandy, what if you don't like coffees, from Sandy Woodmer? I actually, at this point, the evidence is so strong. Just look at coffee like kale. No one likes kale, and you still eat it, right? So figure out how to make it taste good. I promise you, if you take coffee and you put it in a blender with your butter, with your brain octane oil, and maybe some collagen protein, or maybe you can put stevia, you can put all sorts of stuff in there to make it taste like ice cream if you want to. And find a way to make it taste good because it's good for you. And if not, you can do matcha. My matcha is bulletproof matcha sometimes, and that's really good. And it's, the butter, the brain octane, and the matcha. Man, that's pretty good. Teresa, never eat kale. Good move. How many hours before sleep to eat? And I couldn't see who asked that question because your name changed. I'll answer that. And how about having 2 bulletproof coffees, 1 in the morning, 1 at noon? I do that a lot. A lot of people do it. That's fine. As long as you lay off the coffee before noon, you're fine. And what was the question before that? It's really distracting the way this thing is jumping around. And I have 217 comments to go through. Give me 1 second to find where that thing went. All right, I think I just lost whatever I was going to say there because I'm seeing my 4 questions at a time now. All right, digestive reaction to MCT oil, even mine. Not a lot of people have a reaction to the brain octane. Most people respond to MCT oil because there's impurities in it, because the longer chain MCTs that are much more abundant, so they're very cheap, they're more irritating to the gut. And then there's some impurities because they're not triple distilling it the way that I do, that cause gastric upset. Most people, if they take it with food or they balance it out with butter, they feel great. Most people take it on an empty stomach, even in coffee without other stuff, don't feel as good. Lisa likes matcha. Tatiana, can't read that. You think you're a dolphin, from Anita. Loud tinnitus, neck, shoulder pain. Oh, and you're up 1 and 3 tossing and turning. Okay, Anita. The neck and shoulder pain and tinnitus are 100% linked. It's an old episode. You need to listen to the episode with Dwight Jennings. And if you guys want to have your mind blown, a new book called Breathe by James Nestor, who's going to be coming on the show shortly. He talks about this. I don't know if he hits tinnitus, but it's the same thing. If you have the neck pain and all that stuff like that, it's jaw alignment. And I had jaw alignment issues that affected my sleep. So I saw Dwight Jennings, and what he did is he taught my jaw with a jaw alignment thing. He expanded the jaw, not surgically, just by a little bit of pressure, and then allowed my lower jaw to come down and forward. So I actually have more of a square chin than I did, but I have more room to breathe. And what you'll find is that is a major cause, this jaw issues, of the neck and shoulder pain. Another major cause of it is you're eating too many vegetables with vegetable toxins. So go back to broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, stuff like that. Back off from the leafy greens, collard, chard, spinach, kale. That stuff oftentimes contributes to those because of it's too high in oxalic acid. And anything that affects your liver, especially mycotoxins, can be a major cause of that pain. So toxins can cause the pain, liver disturbances can cause upper back pain, but for you, with the tossing and turning, neck and shoulder pain, I would say go for jaw. And if you can do the taped mouth thing, there's I think a code in here for lip seal tape, most likely. That'll actually let you, and guys, if you have the code, post it for me if you would. That'll let you breathe through your nose, and it can be literally one night. Like, whoa, I just got better oxygen. So those could be things that make a big difference. Okay, Rebecca, nightmares, night terrors, or bipolar mania? I'm going to probably dodge the bipolar mania part of things, other than to say, look at how you breathe when you sleep, because there are definite links there. There are also profound links to all 3 of those conditions to toxic mold. I would love to see you get a mold test in your sleeping environment in your house. The ERMI test is really good. My company Homebiotic is probably going to have a testing kit out for you very shortly. But what I see with night terrors quite often is your body's like, I am under threat. Something is here. You can't smell it, and it's small amounts, parts per billion, of really bad toxins that are affecting you biologically. You also can get that from parasites or bacterial infections. But generally speaking, you're probably looking at mold as the number one thing, parasites is the number two thing, and there can be neurochemical, neurotransmitter imbalances and things like that. But the number of times toxins or food sensitivities cause that, it's insane. Joni, can I repeat that about the veggies? Yes. Kale, especially raw, and spinach, especially raw, but even cooked, collard, chard, leafy greens, those things that are supposed to be so healthy because they're full of vitamins, they're not. They're also full of anti-nutrients that cause more harm than the vitamins do good. And the vitamin K1 that's in them is the wrong form. You need vitamin K2 that comes from eating animals. So your grandparents ate creamed spinach because what they were doing was they were putting the milk into the spinach so the oxalic acid, oxalate, would form crystals with the calcium in the milk so they wouldn't go into your muscles and your back and your brain and cause problems on that. So what I end up doing there is, I've been saying this for years. I'm on the Joe Rogan show. I told him that, stop your kale smoothies. And literally like a month ago, he finally stopped 5 years after I told him, like, you go, Joe. And what's going on there is these are the vegetables that are very high in things that actually cause irritation in your body. And you're eating more of them than anyone in all of history. Because if you go back to when people ate those things, it was out of necessity, not because they loved them, and they ate them after they boiled them and dumped the water and they detoxified them. And we've lost most of our traditional techniques for making our food less toxic. Plants, they want to kill you. They just can't run away and bite you. So they form compounds to keep you from eating them. And then our job is to cook them, process them, grind them, dice them, ferment them, and do other things like that. It's a core part of the Bulletproof Diet. You can get the roadmap for the Bulletproof Diet. Everybody read the book. My team will post a link to, I don't know if the Kindle version is still on sale, but post a link to the book if you would. This book is worth reading. This is the one that's helped a lot of people sleep an hour less per night. Not because they wanted to sleep less, because they just needed less sleep. And it talks about lectins, and it talks about oxalates, and it talks about mycotoxins, the 3 ways Mother Nature is trying to kill you with plants that you don't know about. And you feel like, oh, this is so good for me. You eat it, and then you have a tossing and turning night because you have pain because it's what you ate that's doing it. That's a big deal. Teresa, do you wake up if your blood sugar crashes while you sleep? Yes. Your body makes cortisol and adrenaline to wake you up. And that's why in the sleep challenge, I'm teaching you guys, try the collagen before bed, try MCT before bed, and try the raw honey trick. Newsflash. There's the thing, I just posted the link to the lip seal tape. What's gonna happen, even with the raw honey, don't put it in hot tea, it's not raw anymore. One of those things is probably gonna be completely transformative for you, to be perfectly honest. Mary Mania, I don't drink coffee on a regular basis, maybe twice a year, and the next day you feel like trash. It's probably the quality of the coffee. A lot of people say, I'm allergic to coffee, I'm sensitive to coffee, and they drink my coffee with great trepidation. And then they're like, oh my God, I feel amazing, and none of the bad things happened. You know what? It's okay. I was the same. I quit coffee for 5 years, and I had one cup, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so good. And it was amazing. And I said, I'm cured, no bad symptoms. And then the next day I drank another cup of coffee from another good source and I felt like crap again. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't become allergic to coffee overnight. It's the coffee. And that was the genesis of me diving deep on the coffee. So it's okay to do that. Is there collagens for vegetarians and vegans? No, it's not possible. And I am going to point out, Mary, in something that is meant to be very respectful for you. If you are a vegan, I was a raw vegan, a devout raw vegan. I can whip and mash and make desserts and all that kind of stuff. My blender's bigger than your blender, all that kind of stuff. It took me years to heal from that. And if you are having sleep problems, you're having musculoskeletal pain, you're having hormonal problems, it's probably the vegan diet. The fats in plants are not enough to sustain our cell membranes. All plants that have nutrients we can use also have anti-nutrients to try and keep you from overeating the plants. And when you incorporate just butter back into a vegan diet, it will improve your quality of life. I actually went to David Woolf's conference, and this is the largest kind of raw vegan proponent out there, and he asked me to speak on stage. And I said, guys, I'm a lacto-ovo-beefo-porco vegetarian, and I apologize in advance. And what happened there is I convinced 2/3 of his audience to put ghee on their plants because ghee doesn't harm animals, because it builds soil, right? And because ghee helps you absorb the plant nutrients even better. So try at least ghee if you're on that path. Elaine, so you've been drinking my coffee since 2014. Me too. Thank you. I appreciate it. And it is such a difference. I'm afraid of other coffee. I know my body feels different. I don't like to do that. Oh, Anna or Anya Non. That's an interesting name. I wonder where you're from. Tips on teeth grinding, please. Okay, I have this issue. And if you want to totally change the quality of your life, buy a $25 mouth guard at the drugstore and wear it every night for the rest of your life. It's that big of a deal. You have to do that. And if you do that, you want the ones that are kind of squishy. And if you go a little bit higher, you get custom ones. And what you want to do is when you heat it up in boiling water, you can actually have your jaw back like this. That's bad. You have your jaw way forward like this. You want to be a little bit forward, but not too far. So your lower teeth are even with your upper teeth are slightly ahead to hold your jaw a little bit forward. And if you want to spend a little bit more, you go to a biological dentist. They'll actually allow you to have something that holds your jaw forward, and it has that weird metal wire thing across the top. I love my thing like that from Dr. Jennings, who custom built one, but I cracked it grinding it years ago, and so I just go with the other one. So if you were to combine the taping your mouth, which keeps your jaw from falling back anyway, with a bite guard, you won't grind your teeth. And if you read Superhuman Anti-Aging book, I talk about how grinding your teeth makes you live less. The angle of your jaw changes your scoliosis, changes your spine, changes your C-reactive protein inflammation molecules. Like, stop grinding. And the way to do that, those pads, literally, you'll live longer. So it's like 25 bucks. You do it one time. I literally travel with a spare little bite guard in my backpack, because if I lose one, I wake up the next morning and my jaw feels wrong, and I feel wrong, and it's just not right. Oh, Jermaine wants to know about buckwheat pillows. I actually really like buckwheat pillows. They're very supportive. In fact, if you want a life-changing experience, the only time I've ever been able to get it was at a hotel in Japan. It must have been in Tokyo. The whole bed was buckwheat, and it was one of the best night's sleep I've ever had. And I've looked for buckwheat mattresses in the US. I've found people who make their own, but I haven't had one. But a buckwheat pillow is really nice because you can shape it. And one of the things you're going to find, Risa's like, the vegan diet didn't work. It takes a while to heal. It takes about 2 years to get your vegetable oils out of your body if you stop doing the vegan. Or you can be vegetarian, just eat butter and eggs. But if you measure the distance from your head to your shoulder, you can shape a good pillow, and you can do it with buckwheat, but you can't shape a lot of these mushy, cheap pillows. They just don't work. That's a big thing. All right. Nathaniel, trouble waking up no matter how much sleep you have, takes 1 to 1.5 hours to wake up, but from the time your alarm goes off. What do you do to have immediate energy in the morning? This is interesting. I would want to have you sleep with a glass that has about a teaspoon of Himalayan salt in it. And before you even get out of bed, I want you to drink that. And all of you can try this in the morning. If it's too much salt and it makes you get disaster pants, you kind of overdid it. But I mentioned earlier how your body makes cortisol in the morning. Well, you need to get your blood pressure up. And my guess, if I was to guess, you probably have low blood pressure, and that's a big part of it. So you could take some salt, and for anyone, this will increase your energy throughout the day. Just because the body's like, hey, one of the things that happens when you create adrenaline is you're shifting the sodium and potassium ratio to increase sodium, decrease potassium. So what if you just helped it by drinking a little bit of sodium? So a pinch of salt in your water in the morning for everyone forever is a really good idea, unless you have way too much salt in your life or something like that. Way too much salt is more than you think. The American recommendations for upper levels of salt intake are so low that they increase heart attack risk, according to the president of the American Society for Hypertension. There's that. So salt isn't bad for you. Phil, tips for red and infrared. Marco, see you. Thanks, brother. Red and infrared light. So the True Light panel, and Bulletproof team or Dave team, can you post the link to the True Light panel? I'm pretty sure we got a discount. If not, make one up for people, because I want people to have this. This is the light that I use like on my face because it helps with collagen and blood flow and things like that. But for sleep, it's very interesting. What you can do is you put it over your chest. Or sorry, not over your chest. You can put it over your chest here, but it's actually most effective like right here. You set it right there as you're just laying in bed, and turn it off of the pulsing. Yeah, you want it turned off and pulsing, just constant red. And just watch what happens. It turns out there's a bunch of serotonin and some circadian things happening in the gut bacteria in your gut. And they are light sensitive, way more light sensitive than your cells actually. And they have their own circadian rhythm. It's one of the reasons you get screwed up, you pull an all-nighter, is your gut bacteria are making more LPS, lipopolysaccharide molecules, because they're irritated that their timing is off like yours. So you give them a dose of red light, work on inflammation in the gut, it calms the entire body because of a connection between the vagus nerve, the gut, and the trigeminal nerve here. So it's pretty cool. Oh, Lisa, if you have low blood pressure and your cardiologist says to eat more salt, definitely eat more salt. And that morning salt thing is going to matter more for you. And if you still have low blood pressure, I'd tell your cardiologist, give me a prescription for low-dose cortisol or one of the cortisol analogs that's close to bioidentical so that you can get your life back, because low blood pressure is worse than high blood pressure for cognitive function. It's a terrible thing to have to deal with. I know, I've dealt with it for years. It's a toxic mold thing. Teresa, use the energy square on your ankles. Beautiful. Best way to use the True Light pillow? Oh, that's the other one. If you have the True Light pillow, you can actually just do that, and then you're getting the red light on your eyes. So whether you have the square or the pillow, you can actually put the square on your stomach as well as the square or the pillow can go here. And with the pillow, you can lay back. You want to hit the back of your head. It helps with hair. Red light helps with hair and infrared light, and it's a powerful thing to do. So there, I usually lay on my back or my side, and you can do like the side of your face, which is super cool. Best reading setting for True Light bulb to read prior to sleeping. All right, you guys ready to have your mind blown? This is kind of about sleep. So right now, you probably read before bed. And if you're reading on a screen, what you want to do for sure is you want to put on your glasses, but you also want to turn the brightness on your screen down, put your screen in sleepy time mode and whatever the settings are for the iPhone or for the Android device that you have, and make it as dim as you can get away with to read it, black background instead of white, and that'll be really, really powerful. But if you were to read a book and you were to read under red light, a new study came out very recently that showed that people who expose their lights to the exact frequency of red that's in the bulb, the 650, I think, if I remember right from memory, you guys probably don't care. Anyway, that kind of red, that it reduced the symptoms of aging in their eyes. So if you're gonna read at night anyway, do you want to read under the light that ruins your sleep and harms you, or just get used to red light? At first you'd be like, I can't do this. After a week, your eyes will shift. And the difference, oh man, guys, I'm 47. I turned 48 this year. I was nearsighted as a kid, wore glasses starting in like 6th or 7th grade. I had LASIK in 1997 to get back to 2015. LASIK is not good for you. I wish I hadn't done it. And what happened then is I went, after a time, those surgeries always kind of get old. So I was about to 20/60 to 20/80 in both eyes, and I had astigmatism. So it was time for new glasses. Instead, I went and I did eye training exercises. I started wearing the yellow glasses during the day, the True Dark ones, and but they have no toxic light in this room at all. It's beautiful. It's halogen over there, natural light over there. Everything here is good. But I did that, and then, so that protects me from excess blue light during the day, the high intensity blue, which is bad. And then at night, I always read under red light, and I expose myself to red light because I'm wearing the filters. When I went and I saw a really high-end eye doctor doing genetic tests of my tears and stuff like that, what she said is, Dave, you have none of the symptoms of lack of flexibility in the cornea that you should have for your age. You don't have the yellowing of your cornea that you should have. And your eyes, I'm back to 2015 in both eyes without any surgical things like that. And basically, your eyes are not aging the way they're supposed to. I do believe, I do not have medical evidence, I have studies that indicate possible mechanisms, but I do believe that regularly at night, using red light for reading is an anti-aging technique for your eyes. I cannot make a medical claim, I'm not making a medical claim, but I think there's something to that, and the study showed red light exposure to your eyes at night reduce the signs of aging in the eyes, so I think that's happening. All right, Mark, oh, cool, Adam says he's been using light for 2 weeks and it works really well. Anyone have the screen full on red? You can turn your screen full on red. I do that sometimes. You can't see like red highlights. And if you're trying to watch TV, if something's red, you get used to it. It's like watching black and white TV. So like my wife and I watched TV up here in the labs last night. We both had our fit overs on. I had my regular ones on, and we're watching Yellowstone. It's a good show, by the way. So you can totally do that, and you just get used to the colors after a little while, and it's okay. Oh, Teresa, my vision got better. My last 2 eye doctor appointments after starting to use the glasses, I think they lower the burden on the eyes. There's something really good happening. And guys, there is so much free information here. It is overwhelming. You do not have to buy the TrueDark glasses. I hope you're not feeling any pressure to do that. I'm getting a lot of questions, and there's discounts for everything that more than make up for the cost of the program. So that bulb, that's the True Light bulb. Just shop truelight.com. Someone's asking the question. Why is wearing red glasses the equivalent of red lights? When you're wearing the optical filter glasses that we have, they take out all the colors other than red, so it's the same thing. Let's see. Adam Weeks does both. Yeah, I pretty much do both. And look, if it's a romantic hot date, the first time you're meeting someone, maybe you're both into red glasses, that's cool. Look, sometimes you're not gonna do it. Dim the lights as much as you can. Candlelight, it's good, you know? Like, just dim, calm, it's nighttime. Tell the body that stuff. It's way more important than you think it is. And it's irritating. Like, you'd rather it just wasn't a problem, but it is. Okay, why? It's doing the I'm only going to show you 3 posts at a time thing. Let me refresh this again. It stopped updating. Give me 1 second. I'm going to find what else is going on with this thread here. Come on, Facebook. There we go. All right, I'm stuck seeing the same 4 questions over and over, which is ridiculous. I'm gonna try my other computer. There we go. But these are the same questions we already talked about. Tips for falling back asleep if you wake up. All right, Eric, this is a good one. Thank you. Oh, and Dawn, can you use the bulbs if you don't have dimmer? Okay, first talk about bulbs, then we're gonna talk about falling back asleep. So the True Light bulbs, there's 2 kinds. If you have a dimmer switch, we have the True Light Circadia bulb, and this is a bulb that's good basically during the day. It makes a very clean white light, cleaner than you can get anywhere else. And that's the thing, it takes out toxic blue during the day, which is really good. And then as you dim it, it gets more and more amber. And so you dim it until after sunset. When it's as dim as you get, it'll be like sunset colored. And then in your bedroom, when you want actual red light, that's when you switch to the one that has a full temperature control and dimmer control to go all the way into the red spectrum. And that's the True Light bulb. I'm forgetting the name that we called that one. The one powered by BIOS has the better daytime light, and then the one that True Light does with its own little remote that doesn't rely on a dimmer switch is the one that gets you to red. So the remote comes with the bulbs, Jim, to answer your question. And then how do you go back to sleep when you wake up? It depends on why you wake up. If it's a sugar thing, you gotta hack that thing. But quite often, if it's racing thoughts, they can actually just be racing thoughts. And one of the craziest things is before you go to bed, if you tend to wake up with anxiety, is you wanna write down just make a to-do list of stuff that you're thinking about. And you just write it down. And then your body, the automated system trying to keep you alive, it's like, oh, it'll be there in the morning, I got that. And it stops trying to remind you. It's just a survival thing, right? That's the big thing. And it sounds dumb, but it works. And they teach this, some of the military trainers I know teach people this. So just getting it out of your head. And the other thing that can really make a big difference is, and I teach this in one of the videos that you guys are gonna get, but it's called the Ujjayi breathing. And there's a blog post I have about it, but it's a yoga breath. And even before that, I'm gonna teach you a different breath to try now. The Ujjayi breath takes a little while to teach. But if you breathe in, the military thing, they call it a box breath. They do about 5 seconds. It turns out there's some new science, 5.5 seconds is better if you really want to do this. But what you do is you breathe in for 5 seconds. That was not 5 seconds, that was too fast. You hold for 5 seconds, breathe out for 5 seconds. And then the bottom of the breath, you can either hold it empty for 5 seconds, which is ideal, or you just start it again. In for 5, maybe 6 seconds. Hold for 5 or 6 seconds. Down for 5 or 6 seconds. And you just do that over and over and over. And it's that pattern that increases oxygen in the brain. It increases alpha brain waves, and that can put you back to sleep. And do it through the nose, only through the nose. It's pretty good. Oh, Sarah does GABA sublingually, which is really interesting. You could see that working. And it looks like our time for post is over. I think we're way over on time, actually, just to make sure. All right. On that note, my friends, we went over. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful evening. And I will see you tomorrow on the Sleep Challenge. I'll post some more things for you. Thank you for joining me. Keep posting your scores. Hopefully they're improving. If not, let's talk.